Let's talk about Lake Baikal in Siberia. You probably know it's the deepest, oldest lake on the entire planet, holding a staggering 20% of the world's fresh water. But what you probably don't know is that according to some recently declassified Soviet files, it was also holding a dark, dark secret during the Cold War. A secret that ended up costing people their lives. Okay, so picture this. The year is 1982. We're right at the peak of the Cold War. A team of Soviet military divers is sent down into that freezing abyss on a classified training mission. But what they stumbled upon down there in the dark, well, it wasn't in any training manual, and it led to a cover-up that would last for decades. So try to imagine what that was like. You're one of 7 elite naval divers, just suspended there, 160 feet deep in the pitch-black, ice-cold water of Baikal. You're running your drills, going through the motions, when you get that primal feeling, that feeling that you're being watched. According to the reports, what the divers saw were these giant, humanoid figures, almost 10 feet tall, just gliding through the water. They were described as wearing these skin-tight silver suits with large, spherical helmets. But here's the crazy part. No scuba gear, no air tanks, nothing. They were just there, silently observing the Soviet divers from the crushing darkness. And they were impossibly fast. So you can imagine the terrified divers get on the radio and report what they're seeing to the surface. And this is the moment where the story takes a turn. Their commander, instead of ordering an immediate retreat, he sees an opportunity. He thinks he can capture something that is completely beyond our understanding. He gives the order, capture one. The plan itself sounded pretty straightforward, right? Approach the target, throw a big net over it, and haul it up to the surface. It's a classic military maneuver for capturing some kind of unknown asset. But down there, in the depths of Lake Baikal, straightforward was about to become a death sentence. As the team of 7 divers closes in with the net, that passive observation just ends. The absolute second they make a move to try and capture one of these beings, the deep fights back. And it fights back with terrifying force. The beings, or whatever they were, unleashed this wave of invisible force. The files describe it as some kind of powerful sonar blast. It slammed into all 7 divers at once, a silent, violent explosion of energy that launched them from a depth of 50 meters straight to the surface in just a few seconds. Now, for any deep-sea diver, this is the absolute worst-case scenario. It's the ultimate nightmare. An uncontrolled ascent like that is basically a death sentence. The sudden pressure change forces all the nitrogen that's dissolved in your blood to violently bubble out. It's like shaking a can of soda as hard as you can and then cracking it open, except it's happening inside your veins and your tissues. It's an agonizing, catastrophic event for the human body. The chaos of that ascent was over in a flash, but the real horror was just beginning. The support crew up on the surface frantically pulled the 7 men from the water, but for most of them, the damage was already done. The human cost was just devastating. 3 of the 7 divers died from extreme decompression sickness, the bends. Their bodies were literally torn apart from the inside. The 4 who survived were permanently crippled. What started as a classified training mission had turned into an absolute slaughter. You have to remember, in the Soviet Union, catastrophes like this didn't make the evening news, they became state secrets. An encounter with an unknown, hostile, non-human entity? No way. That was something the paranoid Soviet state could not and would not allow to exist. So the entire Baikal incident was immediately classified and buried deep inside the KGB's most secret files. For about a decade, the whole story of the Baikal incident was buried under layers and layers of official denial, total silence. But after the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 90s, the archives started to open up. And former officials who were no longer bound by that state-enforced secrecy, well, they began to talk. And this, right here, is where the story gets truly chilling. Fleet Admiral Vladimir Chernavin, we're talking the former commander-in-chief of the entire Soviet Navy, went on the record. He admitted that the military had been tracking these USOs for years. And his final conclusion, coming from one of the most powerful military men on the planet, the ocean belongs to them. The 1982 Baikal incident is more than just a spooky story. It's a declassified account of what can happen when we decide to poke the unknown. And it leaves us with a pretty terrifying question, doesn't it? These swimmers of Lake Baikal, they're probably still down there. So what happens the next time we decide to drop a net?